The Battle of Saragarhi is one of the greatest last stands in history. It saw 21 Sikh soldiers of the 36th Sikh Regiment of the British Indian Army lay down their lives defending the Saragarhi outpost against a ferocious horde of over 10,000 Afghan tribesmen on the 12th of September 1897. This heroic defence sent shockwaves around the British Empire and reinforced the belief that Sikhs were indeed legendary warriors. Queen Victoria herself even said, quote, "It is no exaggeration to record that the armies which possess the valiant Sikhs cannot face defeat in war," in an address to the British Parliament in 1897. It was 21 men versus 10,000, to the last man with the last round. In the late 19th century, the frontier between British India and Afghanistan was an area of continuous unrest and violence. During a time known as the Great Game, a period of heightened tensions between Britain and Russia as they battled over Afghanistan and other territories in Central Asia. There was also an ongoing conflict between the British and Pashtuns in the Samana Hills region as well, where British outposts frequently came under attack by tribal groups. Thus, the British desired consolidation over the land they controlled, with the two principal forts in the region being Fort Gulistan on the Suleiman Range and Fort Lockhart on the Samana Range of the Hindu Kush Mountains, located a few miles away from each other. The only issue was these two forts could not be seen from each other, and thus it became necessary to establish an outpost on a rocky ridge at the midpoint between the two, in order to facilitate communication using heliography, or the technique of sending signals through reflecting sunlight in Morse code. This outpost was named Saragarhi and was crucial for keeping control of the entire region, allowing for the garrisons at both major forts to communicate to each other by relaying through Saragarhi. In 1897, a general uprising erupted among Afghans in the region, and between the 27th of August and the 11th of September, several high-intensity attacks by Pashtuns against Forts Gulistan and Lockhart were defeated by the 36th Sikhs stationed there. Two particularly ferocious attacks took place against Fort Gulistan on the 3rd and the 9th of September, which were both repulsed with a relief column travelling over from Fort Lockhart. On its way back on the 9th of September, the relief column reinforced the small signalling team at Saragarhi, bringing its strength up to 3 non-commissioned officers or NCOs and 18 other ranks or ORs under the command of an experienced sergeant, Havildar Ishar Singh. It was not long before Saragarhi was targeted in order to cut off communications and troop movements between the two forts. The details of the battle taking place on the 12th of September are actually fairly accurate because sepoy, or infantryman, Gurmak Singh, a signalman, managed to relay events to Fort Lockhart by heliograph as they occurred. Around 9 AM on the 12th of September, over 10,000 Afghans emerged and arrived at the Saragarhi fort, with sepoy Gurmak hurriedly signalling to Fort Lockhart that they were under attack. Unfortunately, the fort was unable to send immediate help, and thus the Sikh soldiers at Saragarhi unanimously decided to fight till the last man to prevent the enemy force from reaching the forts, and refused to surrender. The Sikhs were outnumbered 500 to 1 with bolt-action rifles and limited ammunition, with only around 400 rounds for each soldier. The battle began shortly after the Afghans arrived, and as the enemy moved to begin their attack, one of the sepoys sounded the bugle as per Havildar Ishar Singh's command, and the Sikhs formed 2 lines abreast, one row in a squatting firing position and the other one standing. Havildar Ishar Singh held his order to fire until the enemy closed within 250 metres from his post. The .303 caliber was deadly and effective at this range, coupled with the grouping shots formed by the line abreast formation. The initial Afghan wave was decimated, with around 60 losses as the Sikhs fired round after round into the mass of men. The Afghans dived behind rocks and dips in the ground for cover, with some tribesmen actually able to reach the walls of the northwest bastion where there was a dead angle, which was an area that couldn't be reached by the defenders' fire. Unseen by the Sikhs inside, they began digging beneath the walls, with other tribesmen setting fire to nearby shrubbery to create a smoke screen through which they would concentrate fire on the main wooden gate of the outpost. The signaller Gurmak Singh was messaging an account of events throughout, but did not pick up any of the incoming messages from Major Charles de Vaux at Fort Gulistan, who could see the diggers clearly undermining the walls and was desperately trying to alert the defenders. A heliograph usually needs 3 men to operate properly, 1 to send messages, 1 to read out incoming messages, and the 3rd to write it all down. It is not impossible that Gurmak Singh could have done all of this, but it is very unlikely due to the pressure of the situation and the smoky haze that was enveloping the outpost. Lieutenant Colonel John Horton, the commanding officer of Fort Lockhart, attempted several times to sally forth with a small group of men to relieve Saragarhi, but was repeatedly forced back by the sheer mass of tribesmen surrounding the outpost. The battle culminated at around 3 p.m. when a section of the wall undermined by the diggers finally gave way and collapsed. At this point, there were just 10 Sikhs remaining. The enemy gave a final cry to advance and rushed the gap, crowding over their own dead and injured to force themselves into the outpost. The few Sikhs inside put up a fierce and stubborn defence, but were forced to withdraw into the inner defences, with Havildar Ishar Singh believed to have covered the retreat by engaging in hand-to-hand combat with the tribesmen alongside 2 other sepoys, sacrificing himself in a final show of true leadership and loyalty to his men. Another sepoy or infantryman secured the guardroom door from the inside and continued firing, but was tragically burnt to death in an ensuing fire. It was at this point that signaller Gurmak Singh is said to have packed away his equipment and joined the fight, with just 5 Sikhs left alive. At 3:30 p.m, sepoy Gurmak Singh transmitted, quote, "Main gate breached, down to 1, request permission to dismount and join the fight. Orders came back, permission granted." Sepoy Gurmak Singh disassembled his heliograph device, picked up his rifle and came down the signalling tower to join the fight. Soldiers watching on from Fort Lockhart saw him disappear into the thick of battle right into the tribesman line, his last words echoing the Sikhs' regimental battle cry. Gurmak Singh, the youngest of the Sikhs at just 19 years old, was credited to have taken down 20 tribesmen single-handedly before succumbing. He was the last to fall at Saragarhi. The Sikhs fought gallantly for a total of 8 long hours with no food or water, but they did not go down without performing one of the most valiant last stands in history, the Afghan tribesmen having paid a high price for their victory, suffering an estimated 400 to 500 dead, an average of 20 tribesmen killed by each Sikh soldier. Having destroyed Saragarhi, the Afghans turned their attention towards Fort Gulistan, but the Sikhs had successfully delayed the tribesmen for long enough that reinforcements would arrive before the fort could be captured. The Afghans were forced to retreat, with British forces going on to win the wider Tirah campaign the following year. The heliograph, the reason for the Sikhs' fierce defence of Saragarhi to maintain the link between the 2 forts, would also be the source of their fame. Details of their heroism were rapidly heliographed and then telegraphed back to London by a Times correspondent, and reported in newspapers all around the empire and indeed the world. The Commander-in-Chief of British India recorded his, quote, admiration for the heroism shown by those gallant soldiers, and every single one of the Sikhs was posthumously awarded the Indian Order of Merit and Indian Distinguished Service Medal by Queen Victoria, the former being the highest medal of honour for Raj soldiers at the time. The British spared no effort to recognise the significance of this last stand and built 2 memorial gurdwaras in honour of the Saragarhi fallen, one close to the main entrance of the Golden Temple in Amritsar and another in Firozpur, where most of the soldiers came from. After Saragarhi was retaken shortly afterwards, the British also took the burnt bricks of the outpost and constructed an obelisk commemorating the fighters. The 36th Sikh Regiment were duly awarded battle honours, and the 12th of September was set as a regimental holiday. This commemoration continues to be marked in India by the descendant 4 Sikh Regiment, while the Chief Minister of Punjab, Captain Amarinder Singh, has recently invoked a Punjab-wide holiday for the battle on the 12th of September as well. Saragarhi is now officially commemorated in the UK too, and in 2017, for the 120th anniversary, the annual commemoration event was held at the National Memorial Arboretum, home of the UK's inaugural First World War Sikh Memorial, to remember and honour all those who fought and died on the forgotten frontier. And furthermore, on the 12th of September 2021, a statue of Havildar Ishar Singh was unveiled in Wolverhampton, commemorating the valiant sacrifice. The Battle of Saragarhi has gone down in history as one of the greatest last stands, demonstrating a valiant defence against overwhelming force, and I hope that this video has done the gallant 21 justice. If you enjoyed, make sure to drop a like and subscribe, support me on Patreon if you are so inclined, and as always, thank you very much for watching.